Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. There is a breaking news from the Supreme Court of Kenya. And the news is about the Ahmednasir Supreme Court of Kenya has banned lawyer Ahmednasir, the senior counsel, from appearing in court on any case. They're not going to give him any audience, number one. Number two, his law firm will not be allowed to file any case in Supreme Court, whether through associates or even through his employees. I'm not a lawyer, but there is one interpretation I can make, casual interpretation I can make, is that lawyer's law firm is not going to be very attractive for legal suits. And his clientele base, his clients, already have understood something about this development. Now, off the cliff, they are blaming the lawyer, the Grand Mula, for constant attacks on judiciary. And it's true that he's been, since the time there was that Supreme Court verdict, the lawyer, the Ahmednasir, the senior counsel, was so much lethal talking about the governance issues in the Supreme Court. And I think even some Kenyans always thought that what was exactly was the breakaway between the two sides. So when the nation was deeply and what has been saying, it's happening. This move to ban him is happening at a time a conversation is going on. The lawyer is being banned. The lawyer number one is a Ruto, pro-Ruto lawyer. That's one thing you need to understand. He's been supporting President Ruto, and I think even if you follow his tweets, you'll understand very well that he's been so much on Ruto's side. And what he's been saying is what Ruto now started saying recently about the corruption in the judiciary. And so Ruto has echoed what the good lawyer has been saying. So just a penny, someone asked me because sometimes when news breaks for me, I really consult further members of this channel. Kevin, what is the message? What do you think has triggered it? If you check the lawyer's Twitter handle, this time round he's even toned down. If the banning was something that court had at its disposal way then that judge would have been banned, that lawyer would have been banned even a year ago. But as the discussion continues, as the conversation continues about the judiciary, the Chief Justice had written a letter to the State House team, to the president, asking for a meeting. And the speculation is rise that could it be that what William Ruto has been saying is what has been fed by people that work in the periphery of the judiciary? And we believe that lawyers are people, and some of the people that work in the periphery of the judiciary. Interpretation here is, if you've been banned at the apex court, someone might help us to interpret. I've been asking people, say that means you've been banned. So there is no case with a file anywhere. As to whether the Supreme Court have that power is also something questionable, because the public is divided in terms of, is it about him criticizing the judiciary, or what exactly has triggered it? Because on criticism, even the president has criticized the judiciary. So do you think the president will also be barred from lodging any case because he's been criticizing the judiciary? Now, Kenyans are saying this is really deep, and there seems to be something. It's not just happening out of the blues. There seems to be something that I think the Supreme Court wants to communicate. Now, I know this is still fresh. We will still follow how it's developing. But in this podcast, I just want to raise some eyebrows and just raise some few questions. And we want to ask you guys, one, have Ruto met with Martha Koome secretly? Did that secret meeting happen? Because today, the president did not have any rally. He was not in any rally. The information we've received so far is that he flew to Uganda later in the evening. But during the day that was going on now, was there going to be a televised meeting between the judiciary and the president? And where would that be? Do you think were you expecting that Martha Koome was going to drive all the way to State House and be pictured with William Ruto on some closed-door meeting? That meeting was actually above board, and I don't think it's about it. So, what has triggered it? I am seeing some 4 possibilities behind this move. Number 1, Martha Koome the Supreme Court could be working on a classified intel that Ruto leaked to his team. Maybe that meeting maybe it has happened. And when they asked the president what exactly is the problem, the president probably alluded to some of these statements that Ahmednasir has been saying. So the man that could have fixed Ahmednasir is William Ruto. Remember, William Ruto is his friend. Yes, he's a friend to William Ruto. And at one point here, there was even a conversation about the judges and how judges should be bribed. But the person that drove all this conversation about judges being bribed is actually the Ahmednasir. Is the engine behind it for quite so long. So the president could have accidentally or even knowingly leaked a classified intel to judiciary that he's attributing the blames on judiciary, maybe on some of the stories that has come from the lawyer. And that lawyer is a collateral damage, because that could be, I'm seeing that as possibility number 1. Possibility number 2, this could also act as a diversionary tactic to salvage the image of the executive. You know, the executive is being blamed, and I think the dominant factor on ground, the dominant narrative on ground, while we want to sugarcoat these current judiciary executive attacks on judiciary, I don't think it's executive war with judiciary. I agree with what Otiende Amolo said, that there is nothing like executive is in war with judiciary, because judiciary is not in any war with the executive. The only thing is the executive attacks war on the judiciary. So, while political pundits argue that it's weeding out corruption, but there is one dominant factor that remains strong, that the executive is fighting judiciary. So, that complaint has been there. Could this lawyer be a collateral damage to save the image of the executive? And of course, analysts will start arguing that he was the man behind President William Ruto's rants. And this is very critical, because remember, he is the person who has been so much vocal on these issues of the judges. So probably that meeting happens and that is pulled, is banned. Some people might even want to ask, why is Martha Koome barring Ahmednasir now? Could it be saving the image? And stories might start coming out that he's the person who had charged the president. That I'm seeing it a diversionary tactic. Number 2, it could also be a plan by the judiciary to avert avalanche of petitions that could have really come from different quarters thriving on the president's rants on judiciary. if a lawyer has been so much into it and now you've been criticizing and criticizing, then now you're being told that because you have refused to refrain from criticizing us, we are not going to work with you. Is profiling that lawyer. And lastly, I'm seeing a possibility that this is a move that in the legal question, and then the lawyers are going to analyze and they're going to give us interpretation as to whether there is another court. No, that decision has come from Supreme Court. I don't know whether Supreme Court decision can be challenged in someone can appeal in the Court of Appeal or in the High Court. I don't know. I'm yet to understand. And maybe the good lawyer might be in a prime position to win the case. And what then is saying they want to demean the law firm and kill the business of the lawyer because that law firm is his business, I want to believe. Who is going to use his law firm to file a petition or a case if he's already showing hostility with the judiciary? And I can tell you that this one might not be very easy to overcome. And even as we talk, if you check Twitter, the discussion is on profiling the lawyer. Is he a quack lawyer? Some people have now started calling him a quack lawyer. I think I've seen some of those things. So this discussion is out. As to whether this is the end goal, I may be wrong. I may not be able to maybe get, but I see a high possibility that this could have been from a high intel and influenced by President Ruto. Thank you.